Hello, my name's Stephen Olson. I'm a senior in journalism, and this is my Spanish 1120 video presentation. Today I've decided to speak about the differences when it comes to same-sex marriage legislation between Latin America and Spain. So first I'm going to talk about same-sex marriage in Latin America. Currently it's kind of controversial. It's a hot topic of debate right now. Currently 6 of the 12 countries in Latin America have legal same-sex marriage, and the other 6 don't, so 50% of them have legalized it. The most recent country to legalize same-sex marriage in Latin America was Colombia, and that actually just happened, I believe, October 29th, based on the article that I read. It's currently legal same-sex marriages in Argentina, in Brazil, in Colombia, and in Uruguay, and in territories of the French Guiana and in the Falkland Islands. Also, in addition, 2 countries have a formed union where same-sex marriage is legal. They just don't refer to it as same-sex marriage. They just call it a civil union. And the 2 countries that use that system are Chile and Ecuador. So to talk a little more about that, I wanted to bring up some statistics and some information that I found out about same-sex marriage across Latin America, and it's pretty interesting. I found that the percentage who favor same-sex marriage in Latin America greatly differs from country to country. It's all over the place. So the views on same-sex marriage in Latin America are not cultural. They're more based on the country rather than the people as a whole. So if we break it down, Mexico actually is 49% in favor of same-sex marriage. Guatemala is 12%. El Salvador is 11%. Costa Rica is 29%. And then you have some low countries like Honduras, which is only 13%, and Nicaragua, which is 16%. So believe it or not, the most supportive country of same-sex marriage in Latin America is Uruguay, and they're only at 62%. So not that America is any better, but you can see that this is a world problem, not just an American problem. Even sadder than that, I read a story on CNN about the difficulties associated with homosexual marriage or same-sex marriage in Latin America, and there was a guy named Luis Alberto Rojas, and he was a Peruvian, and when he was 26 years old, the police found out that he was homosexual, and they stripped him, and they raped him and sodomized him with a baton, and verbally abused him to the point where he had to receive treatment in a hospital. So once again, I'm not trying to speak well about America or about our tolerance, but sometimes I think we have to take a step back and look at the rest of the world and be appreciative, because not only, do we have freedom here, but the freedom's getting better every day. People's rights are growing every day. New legislation's being passed every day. It's on the forefront of our society and our culture, whereas a lot of these other countries, it's not. And it's not going to be, because the people don't have any power or say in these forms of controversial decisions. I mean, we have to have representation in order to have progress. So I'm thankful that we have representation here in the States for that reason, but at the same time, there are other countries around the world that, are doing a much better job than us. One guy I want to talk about in particular is the head of Chile. Chilean President Michelle Bachelet sent a bill to their government that would legalize same-sex marriage, and the quote-unquote theme of the bill is no limits on love. And this has been a big deal in Chile. It's been controversial. There's been protesters. There's been supporters. But she has made a lot of, bold statements, and she's really put it at the forefront, human rights in Chile. In Colombia, like I mentioned earlier, they legalized same-sex marriage it looks like they legalized it actually in July 2010. But Argentina, Brazil, and Uruguay are... Never mind, scratch that last part. But anyway, I'm going to close with talking about Spain. Got a little confused there. So, same-sex marriage in Spain is actually a lot more supported and a lot more common. It's been legal since July 3rd, 2004 in Spain. And in Spain, there's a lot higher level of support amongst the individual population. And there's also support from a government level. So while it's obvious there's not zero problems in Spain, I think it's become more integrated into society. I mentioned in class one day that I feel as the next generation moves on that same-sex marriage will become widely more accepted here in the United States. And I think you're seeing that, and you can see that as evidenced through what's happened in other countries, where in other countries the percentage has gotten higher and higher every 10 years, each generation. So I think that we should always consider what's going on around the world before we judge ourselves and evaluate ourselves. And we should look at everything realistic and honestly, and we should make whatever decisions we can based on the information that we find and based on what we feel motivated and drawn to do. So thank you for listening to my presentation. That was heavily weighted towards Latin American same-sex marriage, but I did also include Spain, and have a great day.